I'm tracking rain, snow, and ice for New England. Yes, it's November. That happens this time of the year. Let's take a look at the storm now in more detail on the latest forecast maps. Next 48 hours, I want to show you this. It's going to be a big upper level low that's going to be to the south and west of New England, okay? This is going to be the engine that drives that snow here to the north and west. In Chicago, from Lake Michigan, blizzard conditions, thunder, snow. But in New England, you're going to be on the warm side of the storm to start things off. So, with a northeast wind here draining down the St. Lawrence Valley and into the western mountains of Maine, there will be an opportunity here for some ice. It's a light icing glaze, about 1/10 of an inch of ice in the forecast in the western mountains, western foothills of Maine, and also back into northern New England and Vermont and New Hampshire, okay? But south of that here, there will be that wind out of the southeast eventually. And eventually the warm air is going to win for most of this storm, if you want to call that. But what you have here is the upper level low, the engine driving the storm here, pulling colder air right over the Great Lakes, which means heavy lake effect snow in Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. So if you live around those areas, especially in New York and back towards Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, you're going to get a bunch of lake effect snow from that northwest wind. But in the rest of Maine, New England, Massachusetts, no snow. Hartford, no snow. Rhode Island, no snow, okay? This storm is going to be on the wet side, okay? The white side of it, okay, from the upper level low, is going to be mostly in Canada and the lake effect regions of basically the United States. Okay, so let's look at the forecast. I want to show you now the radar the last hour so I can show you this in more detail. This is a look at the radar. Now, this is not in snow mode, but I can tell you that where Chicago is, they are under, looks like, let's take a look at it in more detail. Winter storm warnings, they're going to get 6 to 12 inches of snow there, okay? Now, in New York, it's a winter weather advisory. The central highlands up to the north woods in Maine, winter weather advisory. And that's mostly for about 1/10 of an inch of ice and up to 1 to 3 inches of snow. Okay, and right now you've got rain coming into Maine. This is all rain. I don't expect a lot in the freezing situation. Now the sun is up, but there's rain coming into Augusta, Waterville, and also back towards Conway in New Hampshire. The good people of North Conway, Montpelier seeing some showers. But eventually here in New York and the Adirondacks, you're going to see snow. Winter weather advisory is going to be up, okay? So that's a look at the radar. Here's a satellite picture showing the cloud cover. Now, with a freezing rain event, even though it's a very low winter advisory criteria event for New England, what you have here, you have temperatures that are in the 20s and 30s, generally in the 20s and 30s, northern New England, 40s, 50s, 60s down to the south, okay? So a very big contrast in temperature. So with the wind here coming out of the northeast, the cold air gets trapped in the valley. You throw moisture over that cold air tonight when the sun goes down, and that's when you're going to get that light icing glaze. So obviously be very careful on untreated roads, but most of this is going to be on isolated surfaces, okay? Now, you look here in Chicago, you have a north wind off of Lake Michigan, and that is going to bring the heavy snow for them. On the backside of this very big upper level low is the engine. That's the engine driving the storm that is off to the mostly the west of New England at this time. So if you go to precipitation type, okay, the dominant type through 7 o'clock tonight shows where the snow will be and where you've got pockets here. There's a little pocket here, western mountains, central highlands of 32 or below for the air temperature, where you're going to have some of that light icing glaze. Up far upstate New York and back towards western New York, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, that's when you're starting to see that changeover with that heavy snow starting to accumulate back off the lakes. So if you look at the wind, okay, the wind really shows what's happening here in the atmosphere, at least at ground level for this part. So there's your northeast wind, okay, You have your cold air that's trapped here, the western mountains, central highlands, okay, from the northeast wind back to the St. Lawrence Valley in Vermont. And with the northeast wind, it traps the cold air, and then you throw the moisture up over the cold air, and that's how you get freezing rain, and that's what's going to happen. So freezing rain right now, this is not basically ice accretion, the ice adding up on limbs or power lines. This is just a look at the freezing rain. So think about like some elevated surfaces, stuff that's going to fall, okay? In northern New York, that's where you have the most, up to 1/4 inch. But everyone else is less than 1/10 and nearly around 1/100th, 2/100th. It's not a lot. But in the North Woods and the Allagash, the Western Mountains, the Carrabassett Valley, the St. Lawrence River Valley in Vermont, okay, the Coos County here in New Hampshire, that's where you're going to have a light glaze of ice. But outside of that, there's not going to be any issues. Now, snow-wise here, okay, this is going to show the snow forecast through Monday. Notice here, Lake Michigan down into Chicago, several inches, western New York, bunch of inches, upstate New York, not a lot in New Hampshire and Maine, okay? It will be the Boundary Plateau and the Allagash into the North Woods, where you're going to have generally about 1 to 3 there. But outside of that, it'd be very slushy and very wet, okay? I do a forecast for Maine and New England every day at jasonnappyweather.com, and also a lot of weather and food stuff on Facebook. So consider following and subscribing if you're interested, and reaching out if you know someone that wants to be a sponsor. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.